Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual Meet the Expert session. My name is David and I am part of the My World Work Live team with Skills Development Scotland. My World Work Live is about helping you to understand what jobs in Scotland are going to require in the future and also to help you get the skills you need for them. So in today's session, we're going to cover a quick overview of engineering. We're going to look at the opportunities in the sector. I'm going to introduce you to our experts for today, John Penman and Hannah Reid, and allow you to ask questions to them. I would encourage you to get involved as much as possible, so please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to ask us questions as we go through. We'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. I would just like to let you know that today's session is being recorded so that young people who could not make it today can still access the resources. It will be available for everybody to watch on the My World of Work Live playlist on the My World of Work YouTube channel. That means you can go back and rewatch everything that's been talked about today. If you're feeling a bit shy, don't worry, everything you ask can be anonymous and you can select that in the Q&A box. So just before I introduce you to today's expert, let's have a look at some of the labour marketing information around the engineering sector. So the average engineering salary in the UK is 43,160. The majority of engineers are employed full-time, that's around 60%. With 27% being part-time and a minor amount of 13% employed, self-employed. Entry routes into engineering can be through college, university, modern apprenticeship or graduate apprenticeship. Currently, engineering, women are underrepresented in engineering, though the sector is trying to encourage women to get involved and join the engineering sector. So before I introduce you to John and Hannah from Fife Fabrications, let them tell you a wee bit about themselves. So John started out as an apprentice himself and was born and still stays in Fife and enjoys watching football. John is the managing director of Fife Fabrications, one of the UK's foremost advanced manufacturers. Hannah Reid is a production engineer apprentice. She's 19 and in the second year of her apprenticeship and done a lot of work in the past as a foundation apprenticeship at school. So I'm going to pass on to John and let the expert tell you a wee bit more about himself and his journey.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, everyone, sorry. So my name is John Penman, I'm the Managing Director here at Fife Fabrications. So my journey in my world of work started at 16, left school, had a few jobs along the way for a few months and managed to secure an apprenticeship originally as a turner, and then due to the changing world at that time, found myself joining Fife Fabrications as a quality inspector. So over the years, my journey through Fife Fabrications has involved working in lots of the different departments: manufacturing, production, procurement, engineering, and finding myself in a sales role. And up to date as I'm the Managing Director of Fife Fabrications, and I'm also the majority shareholder in Fife Fabrications. So fully committed to making Fife Fab the best it can be and giving as many young people the best opportunities to join us and come into the world of manufacturing and engineering. And I'd like to emphasise that, you know, engineering sometimes has a strange thought process to it by both young people and parents. Engineering means lots of things now. You know, we're in the middle of a COVID pandemic. You know, someone has had to engineer the manufacture of a vaccine. You know, so there's opportunities across a large spectrum in manufacturing engineering, and I think every young person should give some thought to joining our industry, as the potential and opportunities are massive.
Excellent, thanks very much for that, John. It sounds like you've got a very broad experience there. It must give you a pretty unique point of view on what you do. So what we'll do is we'll move on to Hannah and let Hannah tell us a wee bit about herself and her experience and her role as an engineering apprentice. So Hannah.
Hello, I'm Hannah and I started my apprenticeship 2 years ago. I got into Fife Fab by doing a foundation apprenticeship at school and loved working here for the 3 weeks that I did. So I eventually got an apprenticeship and I've been doing college, so I've learnt how to weld and we've moved on to quality, all the different other sectors of what I'll be doing in my work, and I've started the rotation of going to the section and learn a bit about each section.
Excellent. So what we'll do is the first question I'll actually put to Hannah. So you said you'd done a foundation apprenticeship. So how did you find that while you were studying at school?
I found it really good because it gave you that experience, like away from school and into the world of work, getting to learn different things, being with different people.
Excellent. So the next question we'll put to John first. So John, I think this has been answered a wee bit, but the question is, do I need to go to university or college in order to become an engineer?
Almost certainly not yet. You should consider the fact that during your apprenticeship, whether it be at Fife Fabrications or any other company, you'll be going to college and you will probably find that you achieve the same level of qualifications at the end of your journey whilst earning money. So there is many routes, including university, to achieve your goal. But the standard, the education and opportunities that the modern apprenticeship route offers gives you a flavour of both things. You've got the hands-on part and you've got the educational part. And as Hannah mentioned there, when she came to do her foundation apprenticeship, it was understanding about what the world of work looks like. And I think it gives you a very broad understanding in both work and life, as it may be as you come through that journey.
Excellent. So we'll stick with John for this next question. So the next question is, from an employer's perspective, why is it important to have apprentices in your business?
Well, like any business, and many have seen this, the demographics industry is end loaded. So the only way that we continue to be a success is not only investing in new machines, but investing in our talent. Because without talent, our machines wouldn't operate. Now that's from someone standing operating it, or in Hannah's case, when she completes her apprenticeship, from a production engineering perspective. So, any business has to have a dual understanding of investment, and that's both capital equipment, i.e. machines, but also people. And it's also, I've found, I would say one of the most engaging things is the freshness that it brings to your business. We're having young people coming into your factory and with new ideas, open minds, and a willingness to learn. I think that's one of the most positives you could take from investing in our young people.
That sounds like a really, really good perspective, actually, to be honest. So what we'll do is we'll put the next question to Hannah. So the question is, how different is the modern apprenticeship from the foundation apprenticeship?
I think it's similar in a sense, but you've got a lot more hands-on at work and you're getting to do different things and you're learning more. And with the college side, you're learning different things. Like for the last 2 years, I've done welding first year, and then I've moved on to like doing English and maths and all this. Whereas the foundation apprenticeship, you've still got that like touch base with school, so it's not as in depth.
Excellent. So just off the back of that, I mean, we were talking about the foundation apprenticeship, but how do you find balancing of the modern apprenticeship? Because obviously you're going to college and you're working at the same time?
I think it's a really good balance. I'm doing 1 day a week, so I can go and do my college work, and then like if I've got problems and stuff, I can come back to the work and like get a wee bit of help if I'm struggling with certain subjects that I can relate to back at work.
Fantastic. So we'll put this one to John. So the question, John, is who influenced you most to start a career in this industry?
Obviously, I'm of an age and, came into to try and get a job in the 80s, and as we're in different times. So really, in those days, you were just encouraged to get a job that you thought there may be a future in.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much assistance as there now. You've got My World of Work, you've got SDS, you've got the DYW coordinators in the schools. So I think it was just that eagerness to earn money, and and I was lucky. And I'd have to say I've worked with some, the training officer who taught me during my apprenticeship was passionate about making sure that you got a good education, a good aspect of training, and I think was a good mentor, and I think that's what I've tried to, as I've went through my journey into management and running a company, is I feel that it's only fitting and right that we put something back in, and hence that we recruit and we develop and we nurture our young talent.
That is a fantastic answer. Thanks very much, John. So the next question is, what subjects would help me get into engineering school? So I think we'd probably be better sticking with John for that one. So
you're probably better asking Hannah. She's been at school a lot. Not a lot.
Close up to school age.
She's probably remembers things that she did at school against me. I think that there's two aspects. There's the academic side, which the STEM subjects that are almost a given. But I would say in almost every case, employers are looking for, if you like, the softer skills. And Hannah's a great example of that. She came also here and did a couple of days here, and we went and spoke at the school. Being able to sit and have a conversation and describe your ambitions and what you're doing, being able to communicate, present yourself well, and doing a bit of investigative work before you apply for a role. So almost every business will take it as a given that our kids are getting a great education and they've got their qualifications. And what we've seen in both Hannah and Rory, who's the same age band as Hannah, they had a willingness to learn, a willingness to show enthusiasm, and they understood that the benefit of working hard and learning hard, that they would have a long and fruitful career, hopefully. And my ambition, the perfect ambition for me, in 20 years time or 10 years time, Hannah or Rory or another apprentice, my job is to train the next me. Simple as that. That's my job.
Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll flip over to Hannah then, and we'll get a wee bit of insight for Hannah's perspective. So Hannah, you're in the second year of your modern apprenticeship. So looking back at your school years, what subjects did you feel helped you with your journey into this? Is there any subjects you felt maybe you should have taken that you didn't, or any skills you would have liked to have developed before you left school?
I think that with taking the graph common design and manufacture, it made me think that that's definitely what I want to do, because I really enjoyed what I was doing. Although I did find doing the more academic things like the maths and English really difficult, I still tried to push for that to get into what I needed to do. I don't know what else I would change about my subjects if I was to go back.
So your subject, you were quite happy with your subject choice for
Yeah.
stuff moving on anyway. Excellent. So we'll stick with you for this, Hannah. So the next question, and this will be a bit of an easier one. So what do you feel is the most enjoyable part of your job, and what would you say is the most challenging?
I really enjoy learning new things and like the people around me encouraging me to do the best I can. And probably the most challenging thing would be like doing things like this, like talking, because I'm such a nervous person as it is.
Yeah, talking in public can be a bit of a challenging aspect. It takes a bit of getting used to.
Hannah does herself a misservice because I'm not sure if you've seen the apprenticeship week last week. Hannah and Rory was the stars of the DYW Fife, and I think if you were to play that video, Hannah's more than capable of describing how good it is to be an apprentice, as is Rory. So she's doing herself a misservice. She's a wee star.
I think when you're communicating stuff, you're always the one who is the most nervous out of anybody who's watching it, and people watching it don't often notice that you're nervous. So we'll go to John, and we'll ask you the same question, John. So what do you feel the most enjoyable part of your job is, and what do you find challenging?
Challenging is obviously the demands that we have from our customers and managing their expectations. And probably the most rewarding thing is when I see one of our apprentices who we've spoken to at school, perhaps in S4, 5 or 6, have then taken on their apprenticeship here. And probably the proudest thing is when I see them on their last day of their apprenticeship, moving on to be fully qualified and starting the next part of their journey in Fife Fab. To me, that's job done for me.
Excellent. So we'll stick with you for the minute, John. So you mentioned COVID earlier. So has COVID impacted your jobs or the way you do your jobs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have to operate safely, and we're doing that. It has, made it slightly more difficult because of social distancing. So, Hannah has not had as much time one-to-one on machines as she would normally have had at this time. But, our plans are that we'll capture that in year 3 and 4. So, it's like, life for everyone else. We've had to adapt in a way that still allows Hannah and the other apprentices to continue progression, but safely within the world of COVID. And so it's safe to do something different.
Excellent. So we'll head on to Hannah then, and we'll ask Hannah that question as well to get her perspective on it. So Hannah, how has COVID impacted on your apprenticeship?
I'd say that it slowed it down a wee bit with progressing into different sections, but it's also given me that wee bit extra time to learn and like actually take in what I'm doing.
Right. Excellent. So we'll stick with you for this, Hannah. So what are the skills that you feel, as in your job as an apprentice engineer, what are the skills that you feel are the most important to your job? So if you were talking to young people, you're talking to young people, what do you feel you would tell them that the most important skills for your job are?
I think the most important one would be like the quality of the work that we produce. Like we've got a standard to meet and actually feel proud of what you're doing. And also the confidence to like ask questions, and if you're not understanding, like speak out rather than just keeping quiet and going with the flow.
That's some really good advice, actually. The the confidence to speak up when you don't know something, because it can be quite challenging to do that, but having the confidence to do it is very beneficial. So we'll put that one back to John. So John, what do you feel the most important skills are for people working, in your industry?
I think it's good communication, good listener, and eagerness to learn.
Excellent. So we've got a very typical question. So we don't need to know exactly, but I'm getting asked, what is the pay like for entry level upwards? So we don't need specifics, but
It's certainly more than you would get at school.
yeah.
Don't quote me, but I'm sure the year one, depending on age, is somewhere around about £5 something per hour.
Yep, that's probably about right.
And you know what I also keen to do is we also make sure the apprentices share in the other parts of the remuneration. So things like early entry into the pension scheme and the life cover, and also they also participate in our profit-related pay.
Fantastic. Pensions might not be something that strike young people as important, but when you get to your age, John, you know.
Yes, our age. I'm hopeful one day Hannah will say, "See that, John? He was right about pensions." Is that right, Hannah?
Yeah.
Excellent. So we'll flip back over to Hannah. So we've got a question here that's quite a light one. So Hannah, did you buy anything special with your first paycheck?
I can't remember. It was probably car insurance.
Car insurance.
Money went towards.
That's a very useful purchase, actually.
Yeah.
If necessary, but useful. So what about weekends? Do you have to work weekends, Hannah?
No.
No.
Mm.
Okay.
No.
So what sort of skills do you use most in your day-to-day job? Or what's a day for you as an apprentice look like?
At the moment, I'm learning how to operate the machine, so it's like asking the questions of what I'm not sure about, and like just taking in all the information that's given to me.
Excellent. So what sort of machines do you work with?
I'm back and forth with the laser and punch.
Okay, excellent. So we'll flip back to John for this one. I'm quite interested to hear the answer to this one, actually. So, John, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Listen, and try and pick something that you think you're going to enjoy, hopefully for the rest of your career, because the last thing any employer wants is to recruit an apprentice, and you know, in any of the years the apprentice deciding it's not for them, you know, that's the apprentice a disservice, because they could have been on a learning journey that was more suitable to them, and obviously it disrupts our talent pipeline. So do as much investigation, you know, engage in employability schemes, and go and see where you think you would like to work. And if you still think it is where you like to work, go for it. But make sure it's something that you're going to enjoy doing, because you're going to have to probably do it for 55 years.
That's some good advice, actually. That's some good advice. So I'm going to ask the last two questions. So I'll stick with you for this one, John, because it's more relevant for you. So what is the process for applying for an apprenticeship with Fife Fab?
Okay, because I sit on the DYW board, like most employers in Fife, we probably go through the engagement with the schools. So I would say that if your school's got a DYW coordinator, or it's got contacts through SDS or employers, ask early, ask when the recruitment timeline commences, do your homework, have your CV, have your covering letter all in place, because you know, generally we will advertise March or April, We'll do the interviews April, May, with a start date in July. So, you know, most companies will be the same to align with the college. So, you know, at this moment in time, March, if you're thinking about coming to the world of work, you should be sitting with a good CV, a good covering letter, and if you've chosen a sector or you know, a type of employment, have done your homework and who the local employers are that may be looking for to recruit.
Excellent. So we've got one last question, which we'll send to Hannah. And so as we said in our presentation, women tend to be a bit underrepresented in engineering. So Hannah, do you work with many women in your industry? How do you find that?
There's a few women, but it's mainly men. But I quite enjoy like the the difference with working with men and working with women. Like it seems to be the same, and I feel like I'm involved in everything.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, I would just like to say that's us come to the end of the session. So I would like to say a big thanks to John and Hannah for joining us today and gives an insight into their roles at Fife Fabrications. So I found it interesting. I certainly hope you did too. So I thought it was quite good. There's quite a lot of information there about apprenticeships and the experience that comes with that. So if you need information, advice or guidance on all things careers, you can speak to your careers advisor in school. You can find out more about careers at myworldofwork.co.uk. You'll find lots of information there that can help you make choices about your career, and if you need some further inspiration on what to do. There are tools there that help you understand your strengths and a lot of job profiles for you to explore. As I mentioned earlier, this video, along with other expert sessions, will be added to the My World of Work YouTube channel under the My World of Work Live playlist. You can also check out apprenticeship.scot for more information on all things apprenticeships. Finally, thanks again to John and Hannah, and thanks for joining the session. Take care and have a lovely day.